Most of the time, nature is a thing of true beauty. Other times, though, it can be downright terrifying, even if you so happen to be one of its most universally feared creatures. If you want to find out what happened to this unfortunate wasp after he met his sticky doom, you'll have to, well, stick around. And if the terrifying jaws of the Venus flytrap aren't enough to draw you in, well, I've got a whole host of more weird, wonderful, and amazing sights coming right up in this episode of Things You Will See for the First Time in Your Life. I think it's safe to say that none of us were truly prepared for lockdown when it hit, but these days a life of near isolation is the new norm. Of course, everyone copes with boredom differently. Some people binge-watched Netflix endlessly, while others learned a new skill, like this guy. Feel like brushing up on your piano skills but can't quite muster the energy to drag yourself out of bed? Hey, no need to worry. All you need are some plastic rings, some string, and some tape, and you can test your musical talents without having to move a muscle. Besides all the muscles in your hands, that is. Of course, the drawback of this innovative method is that you kinda have to remember which keys correspond to which strings before you get back in bed, which increases the difficulty to expert level. I still can't decide whether this is a stroke of genius or not, but you definitely can't fault this guy for his creativity. Now, you may not be a musical maestro, but here's another way to challenge your muscle memory. Just close your eyes and try to hit those like and subscribe buttons. It shouldn't be too hard, you've done it before, right? And you'll be rewarded with a whole host of amazing content right into your subscription box. And if you show that little bell icon some love too, you'll be notified as soon as it's uploaded. Hey, what's not to love? Different cultures have different ways of saying goodbye to people when they decide to start a new chapter in their lives. Most times, a friendly send-off involves flowers or a leaving card, but one group of students from New Zealand had a very different idea back in 2016 when they heard that one of their favorite teachers was retiring. You might find all the shouting, stomping, and odd faces slightly alarming, but it's really all a sign of affection. The haka is a traditional war cry, dance, or challenge, originating from the Maori people of New Zealand. Although it is most notably performed at sporting events, particularly rugby, it can also be used to acknowledge distinguished figures. Hundreds of students gathered together to perform the traditional dance as a symbol of strength and unity, and what a send-off it was. Sure, it may look strangely aggressive to anyone who's never heard of the haka, but I bet it brought a tear to their teacher's eye. The ocean can be a truly terrifying place when you let your imagination run wild. Although the likelihood of being dragged down to the depths by the kraken are probably pretty low, you can never be too sure. I'm not sure if you're aware, Miss Camerawoman, but your friend is literally being attacked by a giant squid while you just watch and laugh. She may be cackling like a maniac right now, but I'm not so sure she'd find it so funny if it were her board. Jumping into the water with the creature doesn't seem like the world's best idea either, dude. After climbing back onto the board, the squid's tentacles can be seen wrapping around the board like it's about to drag it under. You might expect someone in this position to be panicking more, but there's a twist to this tale. You see, some eagle-eyed viewers have pointed out that the giant squid in this video, filmed by James Taylor in 2017, isn't actually attacking, it's dying. This species of squid, which is either a juvenile giant squid or an oversized Humboldt, are known to be aggressive with their movements, while this specimen seems pretty sluggish. You might also notice that the squid's skin looks shredded and almost mottled in color, which could be because a cephalopod's flesh turns white when it's injured. This suggests that it may have floated to the surface to die after a scuffle with a larger creature like a shark or a whale, and is now trying to hold onto the board to keep itself afloat. All the hilarity seemed odd when it looked like the squid was attacking, but somehow it's even less appropriate now. When October rolls around each year, Halloween enthusiasts compete to come up with the most creative costume ideas. But just when you thought you'd finally seen it all, these guys make you eat your words. Notice any familiar faces? These mind-blowing costumes, which depict some of history's most famous masterpieces, were debuted at the annual Kawasaki Halloween Parade in Tokyo in 2018. The sextet of iconic paintings include Picasso's Weeping Woman, Vincent van Gogh's Self-Portrait, Johannes Vermeer's Girl with the Pearl Earring, Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, and Edward Munch's The Scream. Of course, homage was also paid to the modern classic born out of a restoration job gone wrong, that is Echemono, aka Beast Jesus. Costume wearers presented themselves from the waist up, with fishnet stockings and heels from the waist down. That's one way to give these historical masterpieces a modern twist. The group won the coveted Pumpkin Award at the costume parade, taking home the grand prize of 500,000 yen, which is about $4,400. Some people are just too creative for their own good. Have you guys come across anything weird, wonderful, or downright amazing that your fellow netizens should definitely see? Well, if so, just get in touch at clips@bmas.com, and you'll earn yourself a shout-out if it gets featured in the next episode. And if we like your clip enough, we might even buy it too. What are you waiting for? It's important to love the skin you're in. After all, you only get one body, but that's not strictly true for all the creatures on this earth. Talk about jumping out of your skin. This is the incredible moment a ghost crayfish molted, literally leaving its old body behind. Like all crustaceans, crayfish have shells, or exoskeletons, that limit their growth. And to grow in size, they need to shed their old shells, which isn't as simple as it sounds. Once the calcium inside their current shell has degraded, signaling that it is ready to shed, the crayfish must start pumping its body with water. This causes the exoskeleton to crack at the breaking point in the neck area of the crayfish, allowing it to withdraw quickly from its shell. Crayfish are extremely vulnerable immediately after molting, as they are too soft and weak to protect themselves. Although it's a pretty stressful experience, the number of times a crayfish molts decreases as they age, from every 7 to 10 days as a juvenile to around 30 to 40 days or less in adulthood. I love how the guppies that share the aquarium with this crayfish gather around him like, "Dude, what just happened?" When you see a magpie, you probably think of shiny things or maybe even bad omens, but these superstitious birds are also known for something else: magpie funerals. These grief-stricken rituals have been observed on numerous occasions, and in some cases, magpies have even been said to lay grass wreaths to honor the dead. You see, when a magpie comes across a fallen comrade, it will call out to other magpies in the area, and once the birds have flocked together, they will each pay their respects before taking off again. According to Dr. Beckhoff from the University of Colorado, these rituals prove that magpies, which are usually thought of as aggressive creatures, also have a compassionate side. In fact, studies have shown that magpies are some of the most intelligent birds in the world. Back in 2008, a Eurasian magpie became the only bird and only non-human mammal to pass the self-recognition test. The test examines whether an animal can detect colored dots on its body while looking in a mirror, therefore recognizing its own reflection. It seems like it's only a matter of time until the magpie uprising gets underway. Do you believe in miracles? In March 2021, residents in the town of Walkaway in Western Australia may have witnessed one with their very eyes when they watched a local river flow for the first time in 3 years.
Look at that.
Oh, that's so cool.
The Greenough River only usually has small pockets of water in it throughout the year, unless there's a big, heavy rainfall further up north during the Australian summer. The last time that happened was in summer 2018, meaning the riverbed had turned into a barren wasteland of branches, dirt, and leaves. That is, until a series of autumn storms hit in March 2021. As the river flows downstream, the water gathers up all the natural debris that has collected over the past 3 years, turning it into a murky brown mess that looks more like a mudslide. Let's play a quick game of guess what you're looking at right now. You might think this is a clip taken from some kind of sci-fi movie, but this writhing mass of bright colors is actually a type of worm called a blackworm, or Lumbrinculus variegatus, if you want to get all scientific about it. You probably haven't heard of this creature before, but it's actually a fairly common type of annelid worm that can be found in freshwater habitats, like ponds and streams. It's kind of like a mini earthworm, which can reach a length of up to 10 centimeters, although it's only about a millimeter in thickness. Though it isn't technically microscopic, the worm in this mesmerizing footage has been magnified by microscopy enthusiast My Microscopic World to get a closer look at its anatomy. Before you get too overexcited about the existence of this mind-blowing disco worm, you should probably know that it isn't actually multicolored. The beautiful, bright colors are a result of the worm being illuminated with polarized light. This makes the worm's muscle layers change color depending on the orientation of the light. In fact, when it's illuminated with the regular light of the microscope, the worm doesn't look nearly as exciting. In reality, the blackworm is a black to grayish color, but it appears transparent under a microscope. And once you light that baby up, it becomes the grooviest worm in all the land. Now, sometimes the best way to take in the world around you is on a boat. While drifting through the open waters of a pristine lake, you can truly let your mind wander. But while you're marveling at your surroundings, it's easy to forget what could be going on beneath you. Turns out the views under the water can be even better. This incredible transparent canoe is made and sold by the aptly named See-Through Canoe Company, which has been producing clear canoes and kayaks since 2007. And this stunning footage was filmed in Florida in 2017, at the perfect time of year when manatees start grouping up and moving into warmer waters. And although it can be dangerous and, in some cases, illegal to disturb these peaceful creatures in their natural habitat, the manatees in this clip seem to have no trouble getting up close and personal. It's like he saw the canoe coming and thought to himself, "It looks like a perfect opportunity to smoosh my face." When you get a dog, you're not only inviting an animal into your house, you're also committing to picking up poop, fulfilling dietary needs, and keeping it constantly entertained. But what if you could have all the benefits of a lovable pooch without any of those things? To save you from squinting any harder, yes, that is a robot dog. And this bizarre video was shot from a center console vessel in the Fort Pierce, Florida inlet in February 2021. Bemused onlookers were left scratching their heads as a woman walked her robot canine on a leash down the jetty as if it were the most normal thing in the world. The creepy contraption, branded as Spot, is sold by robotics company Boston Dynamics for about $75,000 and was first made available to the public in 2015. The privately owned model in this clip is named Scrappy and even has his own YouTube channel where his owner documents his various adventures. This clip has already gone viral online, sparking debate over whether it's ethical to own a $75,000 robot pooch when there are so many real ones in shelters. I can't help but think we get closer and closer to the reality of a robot revolution every day. Sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time to capture something truly incredible on camera. And that was certainly the case here.
Whoa. This is gonna be good. Oh, yeah. Holy crap. Whoa, there goes my post.
This spectacular landslide was filmed by Emma Kapua at Papamoa Hills Regional Park in New Zealand in April 2017. Although you may not have seen one yourself, landslides are actually far more common than you think. In fact, they are a major geological hazard in almost every state in the United States, causing an excess of $1 billion in damages and about 20 to 50 deaths each year. Landslides and mudslides are caused by disturbances in the natural stability of a slope. After a period of heavy rain brought on by Cyclone Debbie, which caused flash flooding in New Zealand in 2017, the loose soil on this steep hill broke off in huge chunks and started to act as a fluidized mass as it flowed down the hillside. And one thing's for sure, you wouldn't want to be having a picnic at the bottom. Everyone knows trees grow out of the ground, right? But if that's the case, how do you explain this perplexing image? It may look like a Photoshop job, but this is actually a type of traditional Japanese tree planting known as Daisugi. Way back in the 15th century, Japan faced a shortage of seedlings, as well as land on which to properly cultivate any trees. Now, to combat this problem, an ingenious solution was created: the growing of additional trees out of pre-existing trees. Daisugi, which literally means platform cedar, results in a tree that resembles an open palm with multiple smaller trees growing out of it in a perfectly vertical fashion. The method involves pruning branches of Kitayama cedar so that the remaining shoots grow straight upward from the platform. And rather than harvest the entire tree for lumber, loggers can fell just the upper portions, leaving the base and root structure intact. Nowadays, this technique is mostly used in gardens or bonsai, but back in the day, it helped meet a growing demand for taruki, a type of impeccably straight and knot-free lumber produced by Daisugi. Man, Japan's traditional styles of architecture and craftsmanship are always so darn elegant. The human body is an incredible feat of engineering, but it's the stuff we can't even see with our own eyes that can really amaze us. You probably have no idea what's going on in this clip at first glance. That weird lumpy blob you see is actually a type of human white blood cell known as a neutrophil, which makes up about 40 to 60% of all white blood cells in our bodies. This clip is taken from a 16mm movie made in the 1950s by David Rogers at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. The neutrophil is crawling among red blood cells, notable for their spherical shape and dark color. Meanwhile, the little erratic black dots the neutrophil seems to be chasing after are Staphylococcus aureus bacteria microorganisms, which have been added to the film. The neutrophil restlessly pursues the bacterium until it has engulfed it completely in a process known as phagocytosis. By ingesting this potentially harmful bacterium, the neutrophil successfully carries out its primary purpose of protecting us from nasty infections. A quick shout out to all the hardworking neutrophils fighting the good fight in my body right now. Mother Nature isn't all about rainbows and butterflies. If you really want to get up close and personal with her uglier side, look no further than the Venus flytrap. These carnivorous plants have hinged leaves that are lined with terrifying teeth. When the leaves snap shut, they form a trap, hence the name. But standard houseflies aren't the only ones in jeopardy. Looks like there's no stinging your way out of this one, Mr. Wasp. Venus flytraps lure insects into the lining of their leaves by secreting a fragrant nectar, although it seems like the one in this clip may have been laced with a drop of honey, too. The trap doesn't clamp shut right away because tiny sensory hairs, called trichomes, on the inside of the plant must count the movements from the insect first. Generally speaking, the plant must register at least 2 movements from the insect in around 20 seconds. And then, boom. Once those jaws shut, there's no escape. And the more the wasp wriggles, the tighter the trap closes. Digestive juices will then be introduced to the plant's mouth area to slowly break down the insect. After 5 to 12 days, the plant will reopen and the wasp's leftover outer shell will be blown away by the wind. But why do so many wasps seem to be wandering into the same trap in this gruesome clip? Once the first wasp gets caught, it releases attack pheromones, which draws its wasp friends to the same spot, where they too meet their doom. Ever heard the saying, if your friend jumped off a cliff, would you do the same? Well, in this case, it seems like the answer is yes. Unless you're an animal lover through and through, you probably don't have many positive things to say about foxes. They're noisy, disruptive, and they love nothing more than rummaging through your bins and making a total mess. But they can actually be pretty adorable sometimes. Talk about a total cuteness overload. This pair of wild fox cubs were seen having a playful tussle on someone's backyard trampoline, when one of the cheeky creatures suddenly realizes the ground is considerably more springy than what they're used to. Foxes are surprisingly good at jumping because they tend to hide themselves by crouching before jumping on the backs of their prey. But I bet this is the first time the ground bounced back. What does the fox say, you ask? Well, in this case, the answer is boing. Which of these things impressed or intrigued you the most? And if you want to continue your quest of amazement, why not check out one of the previous episodes in this series next? Don't forget to get in touch at clips@beamazed.com. And until next time, thanks for watching, guys.